This is my review for Champions of Midgard, as you can see here, by Ole Steinus. I think that's right. Published by Greyfox Games, a game that takes roughly 45 to 90 minutes and is a 2 to 4 player worker placement game in the style of other worker placement games with some few differences which we'll talk about. If you like this video, please like and please subscribe. And please take a look at our other videos. I'm not going to go into details showing you a huge amount of components. If you want to see that, I have an unboxing video that I'll link in the description. But let's get into it. So in this game, you're going to be playing different Viking leaders who are recruiting troops to battle trolls and other mythical Norse creatures, and in the end to score the most glory or victory points throughout the game. To do this, you're going to be placing worker Vikings on a board and doing different actions. So you can trade for goods, or go hunting, or get some quests, or send your troops into battle. The workers are pretty standard. You can see here, they're just kind of normal meeple looking workers. And the troops you recruit, though, are dice. So you can see here, there are 3 different types of dice. A red die, which is your spear warriors. They have little spear symbols on them. You have your sword dice, which are your sword warriors, and you have your axe dice, which are your axe warriors. They have similar faces. Some have some defense, some have only attack like the axe warriors, and can do more damage and can be modified by different leaders or different things in battle. Now, one thing I will note is this is a review for only the base game. I do know that the expansions add even more in-depth gameplay. So, if you think you like this video, it may be worth looking into the expansions, and I hope to do a review for those in the future. So throughout this game, you're going to be placing your workers and taking actions over, I think it's 10 rounds, if I remember right. It's 8 rounds. Yeah, that's right. I was thinking of a different game. 8 rounds. And essentially, you're going to be gaining money and fighting the trolls and fighting other creatures, like I think basically mythical Norse creatures. I think there's like a water dragon, and there's some other ones with Norse names. So what I liked about this game, I think its biggest advantage over some other worker placement games is it's really quick to set up, and it's got really quick playtime. I think most of our games, after we learned it, were taking less than 60 minutes for a 4-player game, which is really good for a worker placement game that has, this amount of activity in it. I think the actions are pretty streamlined. Like, you kind of know where you're going to want to go, and if someone takes that, you have a good backup that's really clear. Some other games, maybe it's not as clear to what you're going to do. I think the dice work really well. So there's a couple things that sometimes dice rolling games can be really punishing. If you roll bad, you are going to lose. But there's some mitigation tokens in here where you will get points for them if you don't spend them, but you'll probably want to spend them on your dice rolls because you're only going to get 8 attacks maximum in the game. Total, 8 rounds of attacking. You can do multiple attacks per round, but you're not going to get that many attacks. So you really want to make sure that you can win when you can. And it adds this push your luck aspect, which gives you a great tension in the game. Like, you're kind of always taking a risk. You could roll really bad and you have to spend your token, and you have to think about those consequences. And the third thing is the battles are great. It adds a thematic feel to the game because, when you're going off to fight these creatures, you don't know if you're going to win. You're going to go, come as prepared as possible, but bad things can happen along the way. And the creature might defeat you. So a few things I disliked about the game. I think the bad luck can cause you to lose. So I had one instance where I failed 5 times with 5 rerolls and still failed the battle. And I rolled really bad. And the odds were definitely in my favor with 5 rerolls, but I still didn't roll good enough. I feel like the production's a bit dated. Like, nowadays, if you had a new game like this, they wouldn't probably be like kind of standard meeples. The dice are like etched dice, but they're kind of like I don't know, they just don't feel as like high quality. Like they could be like translucent plastic or something. These are, small things that I think, Greyfox Games maybe wants to consider coming back with like an ultimate version of this with upgrade components and stuff, because I do think it's a really good game that may warrant that, maybe with another expansion. And I think the blame token mechanic needs some refinement. So what we found is in most of our games, people were just piling them on a single person. Not always the leader even in the game, but they would just pile them on one person, because as you gain more blame tokens, they're more of a negative. So you can kind of push a person down more if you give them all to one person. I don't remember if this has changed any of the expansions. Hopefully it has been. So overall, I give it an 8.2 out of 10. I think it's an amazing game, and it's very close in my rating to Lords of Waterdeep. Lords of Waterdeep is kind of used to be, before Champions of Midgard, my entry worker placement game. This is the game you'd use to introduce people to worker placement. I think that this game does a better job than Lords of Waterdeep in a couple areas. I think it plays faster. As I mentioned, many of our 4-player games of Champions of Midgard were less than 60 minutes. Even our learning game didn't take much longer than an hour. And I think it's really streamlined. Lords of Waterdeep, you could, even after you've learned the game, it can take you an hour and a half pretty regularly, even with 4 players, and especially with 5. I also think the dice rolls give a thematic experience and some excitement to a worker placement game. In Lords of Waterdeep, you really don't feel like you're completing quests. You feel like you're collecting cubes and exchanging those cubes and getting more cubes of the type you need, and then completing a card. Here, I think because of the dice and because of other thematic things like having to get a boat and go off and take your whole turn to do this, it feels like you are actually going and killing these monsters. As I said, I think both are great worker placement games. I believe I gave Lords of Waterdeep 8.1 or an 8. So not much higher, but I do think this is a better game. And I think you should check it out if you like worker placement games with a little bit of push your luck and a lot of theme. And from what I've heard, the expansions are amazing, and I hope to check those out in the future. So there you have it. That is my review for Champions of Midgard. If you like this review, or you want to check out the other stuff on my channel, please like and subscribe and check it out, and I will include the unboxing in the description below. Thank you.